10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Good morning and welcome to day 5 of Yacht Engineering Week 2021. Heather, it's our last day this year.
I know, I'm sad to go, but we learned so much, and today we're going to finish out with a bang. We are going to visit DeAngelo,
Right.
We are going to visit Concord,
Right.
and then we're going to finish out at Bluewater Chairs.
There's a lot to see, a lot to learn, so stay with us for day 5, Yacht Engineering Week 2021. Let's go to DeAngelo and learn about exhausts. Hello everybody, we're back. And Heather, I got a question for you. You've learned an awful lot about engineering. How are you making out on your navigation?
I think I'm doing pretty well because we made it here to DeAngelo today, and we are with the CEO, Justin Montez of DeAngelo Marine Exhaust. Justin, how are you doing today?
Doing great, doing great. Happy to have you guys here.
We're happy to be here, Justin.
Right.
So from what I understand, you're going to give us a little sense of how we get the water in the air out without it landing in the bilge.
Exactly. That's exactly what we're going to do.
Wonderful.
Ready to get
Let's
started?
go in and take a peek.
All right.
Let's go.
Wonderful. I think it's everybody's starting to realize these days one of the biggest challenges that we're facing in the marine industry is parking. Holy mackerel, everything is so busy, there's no place to park anymore.
Yeah, we're crammed on space here. That's for sure. If you want, we can start in the stock room. I'll show you a little bit what we got in there and go from
Wonderful.
there.
Let's see what we've got to work with.
Sure, follow me.
Let's go.
All right, so this is where we keep most stock components, everything that we'll need to turn, like an engineered drawing of a exhaust system into an actual exhaust system.
Okay, so after you've started to fabricate the products into semi-components, you'll put them in inventory here so that you can pull them ready to go.
Correct. The high usage stuff, anything that we need to make the process quicker and better, we stock it here, we identify.
Okay, all right.
So, just a bunch of raw material.
So
we
you-
manufacture our own elbow sizes, so we stock the high usage ones here.
Okay,
Come through here.
that's a big gasket.
We got all kinds of things from, small little flanges to bigger little flanges or anything really that we need.
Okay,
Stock it here.
and here we've got some parts that are already fabricated, so it would seem that this is something that you get a lot of call for and you want to have them ready for on demand.
Sure. Real simple parts or high usage parts that you say we'll stock here in our stockroom, as you can see.
For a 6-cylinder Cummins or something
Right,
like that you get a lot of call for.
That's
'cause
exactly
there's a lot
right.
of them in the field.
Yeah, a lot of stuff for the engine manufacturer, stuff like that is just right off the shelf. And we're able
Okay.
to do it that way.
Well, how many years have you all been in business?
Woo! Since the late 70s, I believe we officially were a company.
Okay.
We've been
so
here
with over 30 years,
Over 30 years,
of
yeah.
history, you've developed a reputation and a relationship with a lot of manufacturers.
Sure.
So they call you when they need another part, you got them ready to go.
Exactly. We have a large database, all different type of engine packages, all different kind of boat builders, whatever the application. We've done it before, or we have a
From
drawing
my personal
of it.
experience, I've had situations where I had clients that needed something. I picked up the phone and called one of your guys for an older boat. They had the drawings on file. They were able to pull the drawings out, set up the jigs, weld up the parts, and ship them.
So we like to hear, yeah. That's
Awesome.
Exactly right.
Well, I'll tell you what, here's what we're going to do. We've got an idea that you guys keep a lot in inventory. We're going to move out onto the floor. Let's go see if we can find Keenan, because
Sure.
I think Keenan's going to take Heather with him, and we'll go walk the floor.
Sure, yeah, Keenan.
All right.
Wonderful.
Let's go get him.
Now, I heard this company started out of a garage.
Yes.
Is that true?
Yes, the founder, the aviation guy, started welding exhaust systems in his garage and turned into this.
Wow.
Incredible.
So interesting journey.
Well,
but
here's Keenan here.
we got Keenan, our
Keenan.
technical sales guy. He's
Great.
involved heavily with all the regulations with the IMO and the DPF and the SER kind of stuff. So
Okay. Well, that's going to be another part of our conversation today. So here's what we're going to do, Heather. You're going to go with Keenan. Keenan's going to give you a little primer on how we're dealing with the new regulations and what we're doing to comply with those regulations for OEM manufacturers.
Right
So
up my
I'm
alley.
going to let you guys head off into the conference room. Justin and I are going to head out onto the floor. We're going to see how all this stuff is made.
All right. We'll
Sounds
catch
good.
you later.
All right.
All
We'll
right,
see you guys
see you
in a
guys.
bit.
So yeah, what you'll see over here is you'll see a bunch of
Here's a
parts.
component ready for shipping.
Yeah, so you'll notice that our whole setup is a nice flow or start to finish, very fluid.
Okay.
Everything comes back up here ready to ship.
Out to the front and out the door.
So you'll see a bunch of stuff on carts and whatnot.
Everything's moving around through the process.
Everything's going, exactly.
Okay. So this looks more like a commercial application or a large yacht product.
Yeah, this would be what we call our mixer tanks. A
Uh-huh.
lot of people call them shower cans or something like that.
Okay.
But basically, this is the part where we're injecting water
It's where the water goes to the
to
exhaust.
cool the exhaust gases.
Okay.
So you'll see a lot of this going on.
All right. Well, we saw that on the Caterpillar engines in the engine room of the Hargrave.
Exactly.
And as Brian had said at that time, that's where the engine manufacturer stops and where the exhaust manufacturer takes over.
Exactly. So if you called us and said, hey, I got a Caterpillar such and such engine and a Hargrave, we would have the design for the shower can or mixer tank that you need for that application.
Okay. And it starts with the raw material.
That's right. Everything will start with our engineered drawings. We'll
Okay.
either deal with the boat builder directly
Okay.
or, the captain of the boat that just wants to swap out his exhaust system.
Okay.
Everything will start from flat metal. Here we have our parts cutting in our machine shop area. Well, they'll take that flat metal and turn it in to the 3D stuff that we need to fabricate an exhaust system.
I think we've actually got some parts over here that we've started to manufacture. So it gives you a sense of the process. The first thing after it's a flat piece of metal,
Sure.
you said that we cut it out with the plasma and stamp it,
Sure, so based again off the drawing, the engine package, whatever they want,
right?
we'll find different elbow sizes. So this will be a flat piece of metal, imagine like a triangle.
Right?
We'll stick it in our dies to press, and you'll get two shapes like this.
Okay.
Cut off the excess,
Okay.
and you're left with the two parts like that.
Right?
That will get
Weld
welded
them up and
together.
now we got an elbow.
You got an elbow.
Okay.
So, based off the drawing, the fabricator is going to need certain sizes. That's what happens here.
And everyone's going to be different
Exactly.
for every different boat because space is at a premium.
Yep.
We're trying to move hot gases and water out through a tight space as efficiently as possible without creating too much back pressure.
Yep. That's exactly right.
Okay.
A lot of custom, a lot of one-off. We do deal with the OEM manufacturers as well, where it's the same system over and over. This would be a good example right
Okay.
here. This is for the U.S. Coast Guard. We do all the rapid response
So
cutters.
you do a lot of military
So-
work as well.
Here's two sets of it. Again, we'll start with a drawing.
Okay.
All the parts have been cut, formed, and prefabricated and ready for our fabricators.
Okay.
So this is an existing order every couple of months, the same one. We've built fixtures, we've built jigs so that everyone is the same.
So these are all the cut parts, carted up, and ready
Right.
to go into the production department.
Correct.
So let's head over to production and see what they do with all that.
Exactly.
All right. So here we've got some pipe that's already cut for straight sections that you're going to need.
That's right.
In the process.
Yep, we got Francis here, our workhorse. He's going to look at the drawings and he's going to see the sizes that the fabricator will need.
You've got different diameters of pipe on the bench, and that goes right up into the big bandsaw.
Yep.
Cuts you down to the sections you need, and then we'll weld elbows onto those straight pieces to make the twists and turns that we need to make.
That's exactly right. So now what
Okay.
you're starting to see is everything that's been already formed and prefabbed is ready to go into fabrication. So, each job will be a cart. Again,
Okay.
he's got the drawings, he's got all the pieces he needs to make it. And
So
in this
looks
case,
like a reference part.
this is what we call a same as sample deal.
Okay.
Captain brings us this, says, hey, I need a new one. We'll take it, we'll build a jig, we'll get all the target points, we'll take it out of the jig, and then we'll
So
make
that's going
our...
to go there, and then those two elbow pieces are going to go there, and then we've got some straight pipe there.
and start it.
We
Yep.
put it on a jig and weld it up.
Yep, you'll start to see how it'll take place.
Okay.
And throw our little name tag in there. It's got all
Well,
the reference numbers we need or anything. If we ever 10 years down the line need to replace it.
So that's an interesting consideration right there. If you look on this tag, what you'll see is the reference number, and the reference number is something that we can refer back to 12, 15 years from now if the part starts to corrode or fail, which it does in a saltwater environment. All we do is call, give them the number, they reference the drawings, they make up another part.
Yep.
Excellent.
Makes it a lot easier.
And everyone's got its own serial number.
Sure, sure.
Incredible.
So we'll go into the fab department. I'll show you where they keep all
This
this
is where we
stuff.
weld it all up and start putting things together.
Keenan, legal considerations are of particular interest to me because that is my area of study. And I know you were telling me there were some new laws out there, some new regulations. What are you doing to comply with those? And can you tell me a little bit more about that?
Yes. So they've come out with the IMO Tier 3 regulation, which is forcing at the boat builder level to put an after treatment on the main engines and the generators. And basically to take the soot out of the system and to put some kind of an after treatment that changes the NOx that actually leaves the exhaust. And there's two different systems. There's a diesel particulate filter, which they call a DPF, and there's an SCR, which is the selective catalyst reduction. So those come in two types. There's a active system, which we have here on the screen, and then there's a passive system, which let's see, this one right here, that's a passive system. So a passive system has no computer hooked to it. It's just a large, very large unit. Takes up a lot of space in the engine room, especially on a main engine. It's almost the size of the engine, so it's real difficult to retrofit many of these boats with this kind of a system. So basically the exhaust goes in, it's the soot's captured inside a filtration, and then the exhaust leaves. And then as the filters fill up, these little doors here, you can take and unbolt them, pull the filters out and clean them.
Okay.
And put them back in.
How often would a filter like that need to be changed?
It depends on the running of the engine. There's real no time frame. It depends on how much they use the boat.
Okay.
Come on, you guys, try to keep up. There's a lot to see here.
Yeah, here we're going to go into where our magicians are, our top fabricators. These guys are really top notch, and I'll show you. They're going to grab a cart, whatever's ready to go, and they'll start making the system.
What's the average experience for your guys here in the production area?
Our top fabricators, some have been here for 20 years, some have been since the very beginning. There's a very few amount of really good fabricators, and we like to keep them here at all costs.
Guys have run a lot of beads, haven't they?
Yeah.
Incredible. So we got more reference parts and components that are getting ready to go into production.
Exactly.
Okay.
We'll walk through. If you have any questions or anything,
All right.
might want to show this right here. You can see.
Can't look at the well.
Yeah.
So here's a part that's on a jig. Tell us what's going on here with this one, Justin.
Right. So this was similar to the one we saw out there, where it's going to be a same as sample.
Okay.
Somebody has their old riser, wanted us to inspect it. We found leaks and said, hey, do you want to replace it or do you want to repair it? In this case, they wanted to replace it. We've assembled all the parts along with the original sample. The fabricator here is going to go off the drawing, build his fixture, identify the target points. He'll then remove the sample and start building the new one in the same jig.
Exactly the same
to
as the
ensure
old
that
one.
everything comes out the same.
Okay, so would you call that jigged up?
That is jigged up, yeah.
Okay.
So he's taking all the critical measurements that he needs now. Once he has everything set, he'll take the part out and build the new one in the jig.
And then he's going to position his components as he puts them together at whatever angle they need to be exactly the same as that one there.
Exactly right. Exactly
Okay.
right.
All
Again, all of it will be based off the engine room layout, the engine, gallons per minute, back pressure, all that has to be taken into consideration.
All those calculations are done in engineering.
Correct.
And it looks like that one used to have hard code on it, so that's something else we'll get a chance to peek at.
Yeah, we can
further
talk
down
about the
line.
insulation, sure.
Okay. All right.
There's a few different things we offer. We can do our black hard coat, which is a proprietary thing, permanent insulation. We also have thermal blankets, or we can make a water-cooled system.
Well, we'll get to those in just a minute because that's some of that's old school, although there have been improvements, and then some of it's new technologies.
Sure. So we got another example here if you want to take a look here. We got jock fabricating a piece right here.
There's the wizard behind the curtain now.
Right. Same deal going on. This is the same as sample, a little bit longer piece. But again, he's got the sample in the jig. He's got the permanent fixture now. Take target points. He'll remove it, put the new one in and build.
So now he can reproduce the exact same product. So when it ships to the boat, they can literally bolt it up. It fits exactly as the original part did, and they're back in business with fresh components.
Exactly right. And then what you were alluding to earlier, once it's all fabricated and fully welded, we'll need to insulate this.
Okay.
Because you got, you could have anywhere up to 1,000-degree gases going through there.
Sure.
You don't want to be touching that, especially in an engine room.
Absolutely not. People are in the engine room. Well,
Yeah.
let's see where we do that.
Sure.
Here we've got some other components that are already welded up and ready.
Right, here's some,
So that's just a simple elbow.
yeah, these are stock parts for Cummins.
Okay.
We'll prefab them and we'll put them in the stock room.
All right, bolts right up to the turbo and the exhaust. The remainder of the
exactly
exhaust
right.
housing goes right there.
And so everything that we do before it leaves, we'll get pressure checked to ensure all the welds are fully penetrated. And we'll also give it an acid bath to take away all the impurities and make the metal last longer.
Okay.
So this
All
is
right.
what the finish looks like right out of the acid bath, and then we'll clean them up here based
Does
on
that have
the
to
finish.
go back in the acid bath after my fingerprints were on it?
No, I don't think you're that corroded yet.
Okay. You don't know me well.
All right. Okay, so on this system, this is an active system. It has a computer control that basically monitors the usage of the boat, meaning how, if they're turning on hot water heaters, refrigerators are running, lights are going on and off. So this acts like a load bank. It brings more juice onto the generator, so the generator is running at peak all the time. And so the filter itself is capturing all of that soot. And as it captures that soot, the temperature is rising, and it regenerates the filter, and that burns off all of the soot. And so they're able to monitor the back pressure of the engine. So if it starts to see a high back pressure, you're able to go readjust the computer control to make that happen more often.
Okay.
And so that's basically how that works. And you get clean emissions.
Okay.
Good for the environment.
So if I'm hearing you correctly, the passive system has the filter and then an active system doesn't have a filter?
The active system has a heater
Okay.
and the filter.
I see.
The
Okay.
heater is what's causing the gases to raise to a temperature where that filter can regenerate, meaning it just burns off
Okay.
all of those soots. The passive system is just a filter can, and
I
it
see.
collects soot.
Okay, so does the active system's filter need to be changed like the passive system?
It could if it's not run correctly. That's why there's a back pressure reading in there that allows you to make sure that system can be adjusted depending on the generator. They all run differently. It could last 7-8 years depending on how it's run. So it's a lot more maintenance friendly. Whereas the other one it has to be changed. The passive one has to be changed.
Okay.
And the other system that's out there is an SCR, and that's basically where you're injecting a chemical into the path of the gas, which causes a chemical reaction and makes the exhaust cleaner.
Okay.
And that basically back here is where the chemical will be injected, and then inside there's filters that it goes through and it comes out clean.
Well, Justin, let's go in and look at, using the new technologies that are available today, how we insulate the exhaust systems so that people don't get burned in an
Right.
engine.
Yeah, because you can have up to 1,000-degree gases going through there.
Right?
You want to make sure you're protected there when you're in the engine room and you're keeping everything cool. So what we
And
do here,
this is so much cleaner and nicer installation too. I remember in the engine room, you didn't want to touch this, you didn't want to touch that. This is really, really crisp and clean.
yeah, we have our proprietary hard coat finish that we
Okay.
like. It's a permanent hard coat that will stay on. It's not removable like those old blankets, but it really performs great and it's really durable.
So you can't take an old exhaust system down to the Mediquick and just have him put a cast on.
No. So
It's a little different than
yeah, a little different. What they're doing is they're prepping it for the hard coat, and
Okay.
I believe we actually have some pieces ready from earlier. So I can show you what that looks like. But once they have all these materials on, they'll cure it in the oven,
Okay.
and then you'll have pieces that come out like this. And again, this is really hard stuff. This is stuff NASA uses on rockets they send up, so it'll hold a lot of heat and it's real durable.
And at this point, it's ready to go to the boat.
it's ready to
We
just
go up
fit right
front to
in.
shipping, and out it goes.
That's right.
Incredible. Tell you what, let's do. I think Keenan and Heather are talking about the new compliance issues. Why don't we head that way, and we'll let them take over?
Sounds good. Let's do it.
Awesome.
Yeah. Follow us. We'll go back into the conference room. I believe they're set up.
Okay, great.
You know, I really had no idea that exhaust systems were this complicated. And just coming as an outsider looking in, I didn't think that an exhaust company would be one that is environmentally friendly, but I'm learning that that's quite the opposite.
Yes, it's charged us with the responsibility to come up with a system that can treat the exhaust coming out of a boat. It's not something that's easy to do, but it has to be done. So, you know, with these different systems, it gives every boat an option, you know, depending on their capability to run the system to, you know, actually treat their exhaust that's coming out of their boat to make it environmentally friendly.
Absolutely. So that's kind of the whole point of these new regulations and the
Yes.
compliance, I guess, is to ensure that we have, you know, an ocean to enjoy for generations to come.
Amazing facility.
Yeah.
I mean,
Very good.
it's interesting to see the logic of the flow, how we go from raw material to pre-production parts to production to post-production and then shipping.
Yes.
It makes a ton of sense. And here you've got, this looks like the blankets from old school.
Right. These are those old school blankets, the thermal blankets.
Okay.
Uh,
But we're using new materials,
Right.
very much the same as the old. No more asbestos.
no more asbestos.
I
yeah.
like that. Okay.
So here's where they'll build it, and they'll wrap it around the exhaust parts, and it would be rather than the hard coat, you can get thermal blankets.
Okay. All right, great.
So
Well,
looking
let's
at these on the screen, it's difficult to visualize how big of a system this is. Is it a big system or is it smaller than I might think?
So this is a generator. It's about 2 feet by 4 feet by maybe 6 feet long.
Okay.
And this gives you an idea of how big this unit would be to fit around this generator. On a main engine, you have the engines are probably 4 feet by 6 feet by 8 feet of space.
So a little bit bigger.
Yeah, a little bit bigger.
Okay.
So the unit that would go on that engine is about the size of the engine. So that's why they're trying to get this through the regulations in at the boat builder level.
I see. So I know engine rooms are built obviously to be as small, compact, and efficient as possible. So I guess it would be tough to add this system on after the fact.
Yes, the space requirement is big considering everything's already been built and everything's already in place. So in the event that they're not able to fit this unit in there, then they would be grandfathered in and be able to,
Okay.
operate their boat as is.
Okay.
What an amazing shop. Unbelievable what they build out there. Did you guys talk about how big these aftermarket or after systems are?
We actually
Yeah.
were just talking about that. I'd love to see one. Can we
There's
take a
one out
look?
front. Let's go take a peek.
I
at
would
it.
love that. Let's go.
Okay.
Brain not ready to explode yet. Well,
A lot of information. A lot of information. It's amazing the technology that's required in order to comply with new regulations. But the reality of it is we've got laws that we have to comply with, but they're there for the right reason.
Absolutely.
We really need to be more environmentally responsible as we go forward because as I think you guys probably talked about, that's the only way we're going to ensure a future of yachting is to do things the proper way. So this is a DPF?
yeah, here we have a mock-up of a DPF, what you saw in there. Basically, again, if you want to look at the size, this would represent the generator. So this
Okay.
will just go right on top of the generator. The gases come in. Here's the heater section.
Okay.
There's the filter section, and then out.
So this is the active system, I think, that they
This
talked
is an
about,
active
right?
DPF unit, correct?
Okay, so the computer controls the load on the generator through the heating element, which raises and lowers
Right.
the load.
Because as this filter is catching all the soot accumulates, you're going to get higher back pressure because the gases can't go through, so we need to regenerate. If this generator is not running as high as it should, the heater will kick on and raise the exhaust temperatures so that it will automatically regenerate itself. So it's just a working system,
Okay.
actively removing the soot.
And then there's also another system, I think, where you have to inject chemicals, correct?
Right. That would be the SER, which I believe you guys were going over there. And if this is how this system is, multiply it by 10, and that's how big an SER system is. Now you can see the challenges the boat builders and the OEM manufacturers are having trying to put these in boats that are already out there.
Right. Well, you've got to completely re-engineer the thought process behind your interior spaces, because what we've done is we've tried to utilize as much interior for hotellery and for living and for enjoyment, and not take up a bunch of engine room space. Now we've changed the equation completely.
Right. Yeah, the engine room size that's not going to sell the boat.
No, it's
kind of
not.
like an afterthought. So yeah, that's the challenges that everybody's facing now.
Well, this is the world we live in going forward.
Yep.
Guys, I can't thank you enough. This has been an amazing tour. I'm sure you learned a lot out of it.
Absolutely. Way over my head, but I learned a lot, so thank you, Keenan.
Well, I love the technical aspects of all this stuff, so seeing the floor and seeing how all the components are assembled from a flat sheet of stock up to a finished product with hard coat and ready to go out the door has been fascinating to me.
Awesome. Man.
Thanks very much again for the help, Keenan and Justin. We're going to cut to a break. After a commercial, we'll be back.
Yacht Engineering Week 2021 has been made possible by Pantropic Power, the only authorized Caterpillar Power Systems dealer in South Florida. Florida Nautical Surveyors, your complete solution to all of your vessel surveying needs. And Robert Allen Law, exclusively dealing with the business of yachting. We would also like to thank Quantum Stabilizers, AME Solutions, DeAngelo Exhaust, MPI Marine Professionals Incorporated, Concord Marine Electronics, Lauderdale Marine Center, Marine Data, Isotropic, Dockmate, and Murray Ventilation Products. We'll be right back.
For most of us, working with our passion is nothing more than a dream. But for Edward Cattell, it's life.
When I was growing up in the 1960s, when I was riding my bicycle home every day to and from school, I would collect bottles. And the bottles were worth 5, 10, 15 cents or whatever. I'd collect them. I saved up enough bottles to buy a little boat. So that was my first boat. The kids in the neighborhood, we all loved to fish. We'd ride our bikes to the nearest marina or docks. We'd fish all day long. We loved it, we loved it, we loved it.
In high school, Ed started catching his own lobsters and selling them by the side of the road. His childhood dream of one day making a living at sea was becoming a reality.
My parents really didn't want me to go that way. They wanted me to become a businessman. And finally, they gave in, and I got an opportunity.
Ed started out as a young mate at Pantropic. Little did he know that 12 years later, he would become the captain of the whole operation.
They've supported me and encouraged me and mentored me, and it's been a great experience. I get the best job in the company, they always tell me, which is true.
After a lifetime at sea, Ed still enjoys every moment of the job. And even in his spare time, he loves spending his days on the water. For Ed, the Cool Cat is more than a boat. She's family.
And we're back. That's a lot of great information from DeAngelo. There's a lot to know about exhaust systems, especially under the new IMO compliance regulations, even though there's recently been a reprieve from the implementation of those rules. Heather, you went with Mike and learned a little bit about antennas, didn't you?
I sure did. That was one of the funnest segments this week, I have to say. I had a great time, and I'm excited to show you guys what I learned.
Let's see what they had to say.
Hello, we are back on the docks today. I am with Michael Robilio. Did I say that correctly?
Yes, you did.
Yes, I did, of Concord Marine Electronics. Today, we are going to learn about all things antennas and internet. Paul told me you're the expert, so I have a lot of questions for you.
Okay, and I have a lot of answers.
Great. So why don't you tell me where we're at today?
Okay, right now We're in front of the new Hargrave 86 Scorpio 2, and this is a boat that we were involved in the new build process, and we did all the electronic systems on the boat, and Hargrave has graciously allowed us to take a look and see what's going on.
All right, let's see what's going on. So Michael, whenever we're walking up to the boat, is there any way for me to tell if a boat has satellite TV, high definition, or standard definition?
Well, by looking at the domes, you can tell what brand and what type of antennas they are. On the particular boat we're here with today, we've painted both domes so you can't see the labels from the manufacturer. But on most brand new boats of this size, they would never put on an antenna that's not high def. But if you look at some of the other antennas in the marina here, like for example, this one over here says Track Vision, it says HD11 right on the dome. So usually it's going to say HD when it's a high def antenna, which is completely different from a standard def antenna. They look similar in size, but they're different internally.
Okay, how about knowing the difference between, just by looking at it, cellular or satellite internet?
Okay, so a satellite internet antenna is going to be very much the same as what we have here. If you look at all these boats, they've all got two. 9 times out of 10, one is TV and the other is satellite. It's called VSAT. And if you take a look here at this boat, you can see it's got 2 short antennas with black tops on it. Those are definitely cellular antennas. And as you look at some of the other antennas here on the other boats, there's a lot of other cellular ones that are long 8-footers. So 9 times out of 10, they're going to look very similar to what we got here, the white cylinder with the black top.
Wonderful. Question number 2. Do all internet antennas look the same?
Okay, so we've got 3 options. The first one is it could possibly look like one of those domes or one of these larger domes that we see on this next boat over here, or they could look like one of these 2 that I have in my hand. So this one talks to the dock, this one talks to the 4G tower, and the domes talk to the satellite.
So the answer is no, they don't all look the same?
That's correct.
Okay. Good. Michael, question number 3. What are the different types of internet?
There's 3 different types of internet, and they have to do with the source of the internet. So the first one is dockside, where your boat is talking to the marina or to the house that it's docked behind. The second is the 4G towers that are all over the place, and the third is the satellite.
Okay, so I would assume there are different coverage areas with each type, is that correct?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
So the one that only talks to the dock, maybe it'll get half a mile from the dock and then it's not going to work anymore. So it doesn't work while the boat's underway. The 4G towers work fantastic when you're underway, but you're limited to a maximum of 20 miles from that land-based tower. And the satellites work pretty much everywhere the boat's ever going to go, maybe with the exception of the poles, but it works great, but it's slow and it's expensive, but you really get coverage no matter where you're at.
So you mean I could be on Instagram in the middle of the ocean?
Yes, you could.
That's pretty cool. At home, I can use streaming services like Hulu and Netflix. Can I stream from a boat?
Yes, you can. You're able to use DirecTV Now, Hulu, Netflix, all of the streaming services. You need an account for those, of course. But depending on your internet source, they work very well. We have a lot of customers that do it when they stream from the dockside source that's available at the marina. They can do it very well with the 4G sources as long as you have a nice signal. And satellite will do it as well. The satellite's not quite as fast, so you can only have one streaming at a time, but it will work. So you can be pretty much anywhere and watch it.
So you're telling me I can watch Legally Blonde?
Yes, you can. You can watch Legally Blonde as long as you have your internet connection installed by Concord Marine Electronics.
Sounds good. How do I know what type of internet service is best for my client?
The internet service that you're going to recommend is going to depend on the boat's cruising plans. If they're not really going anywhere, then being able to talk to the dock or to the house is enough because they're just going to use it when they're local. But if they're actually going to be traveling, the beauty of the 4G and the satellite systems is that it's going to work underway, but it's also going to give you a much broader geographic area that the boat can go. So for the majority of South Florida and all of the Bahamas, 4G is good. And if you're going to go south of the Bahamas, you're probably going to want to go to a satellite system so you've got a more reliable, robust system. The 4G gets a little sketchy when you get south of the Bahamas, but for this area it's good. So really, you just need to know where they're going, and then from that you know which way they should go with their internet needs.
Is there Wi-Fi throughout the boat like a house, or are there different zones of Wi-Fi in different areas?
Well, depending how the boat gets set up by the people who install the system, some boats only have one wireless access point and it only covers a small amount of the boat. But most new boats like this one have 4 or 5 access points throughout the boat that kind of hand off as you move from one area to the other. So it's a seamless thing, just like when you're at home. You can move around and you've got good coverage wherever you go. Now, some of the bigger boats put in multiple systems, one for the crew, one for the owner, one for guests, and it kind of splits who gets what speed and things like that. So they do get complex, but most boats have the coverage that you need with one network.
Who provides the internet service?
That's a great question. Depending on where the boat's located depends on who provides it. So, for example, for the satellite service, there's a lot of different providers. KVH is one that a lot of people know about. Isotropic is another one that a lot of people know about. And there's lots and lots of different satellite providers. It's the same with the 4G systems. Here in the US, we have T-Mobile, we have AT&T, we have Verizon. In the Bahamas, you've got BTC, you've got Alive. In the Caribbean, there's about 5 or 6 of them. Every island's got a different provider. So it really depends on where you are geographically to find out who the service provider is. And of course, when you're at the marina is your service provider. But when you're with the mobile options, the 4G and the satellite, there's so many different options that you really need somebody to kind of guide you through it. Someone's got to tell you, okay, you're going to this island, you need this provider, you need that provider for that island. So you got to set up your itinerary. But with the satellite, you just pay your monthly bill and it doesn't matter where you are. So it is a little bit easier with the satellite, but it's more expensive.
Is a boat's Wi-Fi secure, or do we need to worry about cyber attacks?
A boat's Wi-Fi, just like everyone else's Wi-Fi, is only as secure as the passwords that you have on it. So when you're dealing with a mobile platform like a yacht, the Wi-Fi passwords are super critical. So they really need to be changed on a regular basis, but that's very difficult for a lot of people because once you remember it, it's hard to get everybody to change it. But when you use a 4G system, it's very secure, just like your cell phone. When you use satellite, it's very secure, just like your cell phone. But when you're talking to the dock, you're on a shared connection. So it's a lot like being at Starbucks. So I don't know that you do banking on the Starbucks shared Wi-Fi. So I wouldn't recommend doing anything secure on a shared connection like the dock. So as long as you're on a secure connection like the 4G or the satellite, it's good. On the dock, it's questionable.
How do I log on to the boat's Wi-Fi?
Well, logging into the boat's Wi-Fi when its system is set up properly is just like logging in at home or at a hotel. You're going to pick the name of the network, which is usually the boat's name, and then you're going to put in the password. It's that simple.
So what is the password?
Well, it needs to be something more secure than password 123.
Fair enough. So Michael, how are you going to get those wires from the hardtop to the AV cabinet?
Well, no two boats are the same, and generally we've got to pull down these overhead panels and we've got to open up the arch, as you can see over here behind me. Sometimes you've got to pull out a refrigerator and just find that cable chase. A lot of the manufacturers put holes in and make it easy, and others don't. But that's kind of our trade secret when we're in this business, and we don't really share that.
Well, I guess a great magician never tells his secret.
Ready?
What is this?
Okay, so this piece right here is made by Pepwave, and it's a 4G device that, as you can see here, has 2 SIM cards, one from AT&T and one from T-Mobile. And it's got these antennas here. These are the temporary antennas. And we got some flashy lights on the front that tell you what the thing's doing. But what this does is pull internet from the 4G towers from either T-Mobile or AT&T, and it sends it through the land port to the rest of the boat so that the boat can share the internet. So this is a demo one that I brought, but the one that the boat is using is up here inside the overhead that I was playing with earlier. And that one is connected to the external antennas that are outside the boat to give you the 20 miles from the tower and still have a nice high-speed internet signal that's going to allow you to stream and Zoom and do email and do everything you need to do with your internet connection. So then we have this one, and this one is made by Aegean, and this one is designed to connect to a dockside source, whether it's the marina, whether it's your house, whether it's another boat. This will pull in a signal from about half a mile away. And the way we have it set up is this unit is attached to this unit, and this one has an internal switch that allows you to decide which of these two sources feeds your network on the boat. So we can do the same thing with a satellite antenna hooked into one of these, and now you have a switch that allows you to decide really cost effectively which internet source you're going to use, so that you can pick speed, cost, whatever you need. If you're in a remote anchorage in the middle of nowhere, then the satellite's going to be the way to go, and with the software in here you select the satellite. And if you're at home and you don't want to pay for internet, you're going to select this one, and it's going to connect to the dock at home and connect to what you have there, so you're not paying for internet. So there's these little gadgets give you all kind of options for how you're going to get your internet and what the cost is going to be, and it allows you to really get the right experience for yourself and your guests. So that's kind of what these goodies do.
All right. If my client is going to charter the boat, is there any way the crew can track how much internet they're using?
Yep, there's a couple of different ways we can do that. The PepWave box does tell you how much internet you've used for each source, and you've also got the internet service providers can send you a report, but sometimes the report from the provider might be too long to arrive before the charter ends. So, but this PepWave device has the capability of letting us know how much data was used and from which source. So it's a great piece of equipment.
So, now let's talk price.
Okay, this is usually the difficult part. Because after hearing where you need it and where you want to go and what you should be using, everybody wants satellite, but that's when the hard part starts. So I'm going to start with the least expensive when we talk about price, and that's going to be the dockside equipment. So the one that I had in my hand before that was a mushroom and talked to the dock, that particular piece of equipment costs about $1,000, and it's probably another $1,000 to put it in. So it's not that expensive. There's other ones that are bigger and higher power and have a bigger range, and so maybe for that dockside piece of equipment you would be anywhere from $1,000 to $4,000 to have it installed, and that's the entry-level piece. The airtime is going to be whatever the marina or the dock charges you. I'm not sure. I know some marinas charge per day for access to what they have, but that's going to be your most cost-effective. The problem there is that it's not secure, but it is cost-effective. So the next step up in price is going to be the 4G system. And the entry-level ones can be anywhere between $2,000 and $6,000 when they're installed. And the airtime per month can be anywhere between $250 a month and $650 a month, depending on what kind of plan you choose. What we sell the most of to our clients is the unlimited plan, where everybody on the boat can use as much internet as they want, and it never slows down. So that's anywhere from, it starts at $500 and AT&T is $650. So that's the choice for the boats that have a lot of people that maybe crew live aboard and stuff like that. So the next grade up is the satellite. And when you talk about it, everybody wants it. But an entry-level satellite system that would feed a boat like this with 4 or 5 users, entry level is going to be about $8,000. But the systems that are a lot faster, that are really going to give you the streaming experience that we talked about earlier, those are in the $40,000 to $50,000 price range, and the airtime on those is $1,500 to up to $10,000 a month, depending on how much data you want to pull out of that satellite. So there's some new stuff coming down the pipe for satellites and for 4G. PepWave has got 5G equipment coming out now, and it's going to be a little bit more than the $2,000 to $6,000, but it's going to give you a lot more speed. And with the internet and with multi-users on the boat, you really want as much speed as you can get, because everybody's using it all the time. And that's fine when you're in the US and you live in the US and you have a US phone plan. Great, you have unlimited. But as soon as you go to the Bahamas or you go down island, now you're running international, and your phone plan's not going to be enough when it's roaming. So we've got a lot of options, and if you want to give me a shout, send me an email, give me a call at Concord Marine Electronics, and we can sit and talk about the best options for you and your guests.
Great. So if our viewers do want to get in contact with you, what's the best way to reach you?
Best way is the office, 954-779-1100.
Okay. Well, thank you, Michael. Paul was right. He is the expert on all things internet, antennas, and connectivity while at sea, and even docked here right in the marina. So thank you, Michael. We will see you next time after a short commercial break.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Bob Allen, and I work with a law firm known as Robert Allen Law. We're a law firm dedicated to serving the needs of people in the yacht industry. And that means manufacturers, that means brokers, that means buyers, that means sellers, that means banks, that means people who sell all sorts of things and services to the yacht industry. We're a team of lawyers that has experience in virtually all the fields surrounding this business. And if you're in the business, you know how important it is to work with lawyers who know yachts, right? And know the type of problems that arise and know how to solve them. Our job as lawyers is to help deals get done. Thanks for the opportunity to be of service to the industry, and we look forward to hearing from you if the need arises.
Michael here, founder, Concord Marine Electronics. I've got a lot of customers that ask us how it is we've been in business for over 32 years. And you can take a look at our glowing Google and Facebook reviews for yourself. But our customers tell me they come back because our proposals are so accurate and our service department is second to none. And on top of that, we've got the technical depth to handle any problems that might come along. We're proud to announce that we've just opened a new location at Lauderdale Marine Center where we're closer to our customers for better service. So when you or your customers are ready for electronic systems completed on time and on budget, call the experts at Concord Marine Electronics.
Dockmate is a small, handheld, wireless remote control for boat operators. It wirelessly controls the boat's engines, thrusters, anchor, and horn to eliminate those difficult docking situations and give boat owners a better boating experience. Our two-way communication between our remote and our receiver provides the redundant safety features owners are looking for. Dockmate is the only wireless remote control that can provide you with smooth, variable, proportional throttle control. Our proprietary customizable software called Dock Control allows us to personalize the Dockmate twist exactly to the owner's specifications. Give yourself a better boating experience and install a Dockmate today on your vessel. DeAngelo Marine Exhaust was founded in a small shop in Fort Lauderdale in 1986. Today, we occupy over 30,000 square feet of state-of-the-art manufacturing and engineering facilities. We produce, service, and repair marine exhaust systems and diesel particulate filter systems. For more information, go to DeAngeloMarine.com. Marine Data Solutions. Our affordable, high-speed internet keeps you connected. Marine Data Solutions is proud to provide superior wireless internet for yachting, 10 times faster than your VSAT at a fraction of the cost. Our unlimited internet service includes no throttle, no contract, no activation fee, no overages, no surprises, and same-day shipping with 24/7 tech support. Check out our Bahamas airtime package. 300 gigabytes for $350, no throttle. And we offer unlimited gigabytes of unthrottled, high-speed mobile internet service throughout the continental United States. A fixed low monthly cost and no long-term commitment. Call us today to find out more about the best high-speed marine wireless internet. We ship SIMs and equipment anywhere in the world overnight. We are Marine Data Solutions.
And we're back, folks, here for our final segment of Yacht Engineering Week 2021. Heather and I had the chance to go to Bluewater Chairs. I saw how they built, and you saw how they're finished.
I sure did.
Let's go see what's going on at Bluewater Chairs. Welcome back, everybody. We're at Bluewater Chairs in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, hosted by Joe Schwab from Bluewater Chairs.
Thank you very much for coming.
Thanks for having us, Joe. And you all know my co-host, Heather Lee O'Keefe. So Heather, we're going to do this one just a little bit differently. We're going to divide and conquer, if that's okay with you.
Absolutely.
Alrighty, so here's what we're going to do. Joe and I are going to walk through the production side. We're going to learn how the products are made. You're going to go get familiarized with the finishing side, and when Joe's done over here with me, we're going to meet you over there. How's that?
Sounds good. I'll
We'll
catch
see
you
you
guys
in
in a little bit.
Okay, thanks. All right, Joe.
Yes.
So where we start with Teak products is a teak tree, right?
Exactly.
We don't have any teak trees going in Fort Lauderdale, so where does it start for you guys?
Well, for us, we're actually purchasing the teak through different suppliers here in the United States, and they're sourcing it from overseas, of course. That's where it all comes from, Paul. A few of the things we've got, the reason we use a couple different suppliers is because different shipments come in, different qualities and things like that, and we're looking for a specific furniture quality, just like somebody doing a teak deck or teak covering boards, they're looking for different grain as well. So that's where it is, and yep, it all comes in here, and as you can see, for different areas of the chair, table, whatever it is, we will be using different thicknesses of wood. As you know, everything with wood is measured by quarters, so you don't have 1.5 inches, you have 6/4.
Right.
Just like you have 4/4, 5/4, 6/4 on up to, heck, 12/4. Yeah, it's.
Is it becoming more difficult to source good, straight grain, thick, wide planks of teak, Joe?
Well, that's exactly it. All of those terms together, Paul, make it a challenge. Good, thick, straight grain, all of those different things, they all contribute to the scarcity of the wood. You can get one piece that might be good coloring, but poor graining or something like that. So it's very important that you get all of those qualities that you just said.
And that typically comes from old growth teak as opposed to plantation teak.
Correct.
Which we see in a lot of boats these days. It's that teak that has a little bit greener hue to it, and it's mostly more veneers than it is thick pieces.
Yes, they're all veneers that are usually what's been known as remanufactured, things like that. Whereas, yes, we're using the old growth trees.
Okay. Well, let's take a look at some of the products that we make, starting at the beginning, and we'll work our way through to the end.
Absolutely, yeah. What we've got here is, this is a shaped up piece, so we've taken our raw planks and we've actually milled them down a little bit. We've taken some templates and some shapes, and we've actually taken all of those, cut them, and glued them into a general shape of what we call our battle station.
Okay.
This will be our molded seat that we're going to actually put on a 5-axis machine and machine out the seating area
so
of it.
So you use a router to do that after you've put the basic shape together.
Correct.
Here.
Correct.
Okay.
We're putting the basic shape together here, and then it's all going to turn into a finished molded seat when we're done.
And here it speaks to some of the difficulty of sourcing materials to build a product like this. Obviously, you couldn't find a piece of teak this thick, but in order to do a build-up with as few pieces as possible, you're using 6/4 teak here.
Of course. As you see there, we've got 7 pieces of 6/4 put together for just that seat part of it. So yes, that does it does take up quite a bit of teak to do that. The other interesting thing that you want to do, Paul, is you want to make sure that when you're laminating together that you're using different graining. What can happen, you see it with any plank, where if it's just made out of one solid plank, it'll warp or take shape. So what happens is by using two pieces of wood together, they'll work against each other to control each other so you don't get a warp or shape into it.
Kind of the premise of plywood on an expanded view.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
All right. So this is the rough shape for what we call a battle station. We'll see a little further on what a battle station starts to take shape as. You've got another piece over here that exemplifies some of the other wonderful things that you guys build.
Exactly, exactly. This, Paul, is one of our cockpit tables.
Okay.
That's a 30 by 48 that we're manufacturing there. Earlier today, that was the center section of it was a solid piece of 6/4 there. What we did was we milled it down, and then we did what's called a resaw, where we literally ripped the board lengthwise and filleted it, as you say, like a butterfly fillet.
Right.
What we call, we open it up and do a book match, so that here right down the middle, all of our graining and texture is all the same, the lines are all very consistent with it. What's going to happen there, that center section is actually going to be a 1/4 inch thick hardwood. The nice thing about using 1/4 inch as opposed to other types of manufacturing, that will allow us to get in there. It'll stabilize the piece of wood, and as temperature changes and environment changes, that center section of wood will change along with the hardwood on the exterior, what we call the rail.
So your rail, your banded rail, is a full thickness, and then instead of using a thin veneer inside, which would be a less expensive way, using less material, you use a thicker piece inside because it'll expand and contract in the environment in a more similar fashion, so it doesn't want to separate and destroy your finish.
You are correct there.
Okay.
That's exactly why we do that. Along with that, what we will also do by using the 1/4 inch piece in the middle is in a refinish, or if a piece were to get damaged,
somebody were to ding it up,
you can get in there and make a repair on it. A lot of times the veneer gives a nice finish. However, what can happen is you can't get in to make a repair. Usually the only way to repair a veneer is to apply new veneer.
And on the back side here, I see we've got black Formica on the back side. Is that just so we don't have a raw finish, or is that actually a protection as well?
It's twofold, and like you said, one, it definitely cleans up the bottom edge of it, makes it much more presentable. Although very few people will ever see the underside of it.
Or if they're at that position on the deck, they're not going to remember anything the next morning anyway. Okay.
Exactly. But yes, what it does is it seals the back edge as well, like you were saying there.
All right. Mm-hmm. Very interesting.
So yeah, by tomorrow that'll be actually over in our finish shop. They'll edge it, they'll nose it and edge it tonight, and then it'll be ready tomorrow.
So speaking of tables, here's a really interesting piece. You guys have a product line that you're very well known for. You do a lot of things with great consistency and great repetition. The tables, the chairs are beautiful products, but that's also instilled a request from a lot of people to you to provide other products, right?
Yes, yes.
So what are we looking at here?
This table, we talk about all of these exotic species. Here's a Wenge table, species of wood.
Right.
And what happens here, this table, a customer that we've had for a bit has requested us to build a cocktail table for them. Okay. And in this case, as you see, we were putting a piece, this will end up being a high polished piece of inlaid stainless. There's LED lights going into it. You can see all the different shapes and design that's put into just this single piece, not only with the graining, but all of your angles. Each one of these pieces of wood needed somewhere between 9 to 12 different cuts to fit that piece into this jigsaw puzzle.
That's what's fascinating to me. I'm a hobbyist carpenter, Joe. I mean, we've known each other a long time. You've seen some of the things that I've built.
Oh, yeah.
And to see the complexity and the level of precision here is really, really fascinating. I don't know how much of the audience really appreciates the level of complexity and detail and thought that has to go into this before you make the first cut. You know, it's the old measure 17 times and cut once.
Our head carpenter will only work on this piece on Saturdays and Sundays when nobody else is in the shop.
Okay.
Because
no distractions.
There's no distractions, and when the saw gets set at the certain angle, nobody comes in and touches it.
Makes a huge difference.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to be a beautiful piece when it's done, and obviously that's upside down. So we're going to see a few pieces later on that will actually go on the sides before it becomes a finished product ready to go over to the finishing shop.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. So what do we got here?
Oh, well, this is, we saw our early version of our battle station over there, Paul.
Well, this does look familiar. So we've got our plywood-esque laminates here of the 6/4 teak.
Yes, we have all of those put together. We have the rocket launcher put on top. As you can see, this has been machined on our 5-axis machine, where it's actually taken its shape. And then from there, what happens, it gets its finish put on it, and then it comes back over here to get the final bait tackle drawer put on it, bait tray, tackle drawer, all of that's put on, and then the hardware gets installed.
And we'll see the finishing process with Heather in a few minutes. Now, I got one question for you. Would I be violating the proprietary secret if I asked you, how do we fasten that rocket launcher to this battle station without any visible fasteners?
Well,
is that classified?
That is something. It's taken a few attempts early on. This was about 10 years ago, where we were actually going through some different experiments with it, figured out what was going to work with different fasteners, like you said, and it's got to be blind fasteners. Right. Nobody wants to see a bunch of hardware. However, we have it where we've designed it where we're able to do it, where it's a clean install and nobody can see any of the hardware that we're using.
What a spectacular end result to what comes in the door as a raw piece of wood. That's truly amazing. But we're going to be amazed even more when we see some of the other products in their finished state. So let's take a walk through here, because you've got a couple of other pieces in various states of production. This one right here.
Yes, this is a rocket launcher, like I said earlier. Yep, this would be what we call our straight 8 rocket launcher.
Okay.
It's very common in a boat from
4, 6, 8 rod holders.
And then 2 cup holders.
And a place for hooks, leader, sinkers.
Yep.
With drain holes.
We'll put a drawer on the back side of this, the tackle drawer, of course. And this rocket launcher like this is most typical in a boat 45 up to 55, 60 feet. So this kind of serves all purposes for that whole size range there.
Okay. All stand-up tackle.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent. So
we're seeing these more and more in many of the outboard boats. Many of these larger outboard boats are doing a lot of our straight 8s, and we make a similar version called our curved 8 that brings the edges of it in by about 7 inches. So instead of 52, it's 45 inches, holding 8 rods.
Today's outboard boats have bigger cockpits than the boats I fished the Bahamas Championship on in the 80s. So things have changed quite a lot. So interestingly over here, we're back to some raw material, but what I see here looks a whole lot like a footrest, if I'm not mistaken.
You are correct there. Yeah, this is actually our shaped footrest that we do in our fighting chairs. And what we've done here is we've taken this piece of wood and we've actually laminated 2 pieces together, like I talked about earlier, where you're working the grain against the grain.
Okay.
That's some of what we've done here. And then we machine it again on a 5-axis to get all of that shape and style to it. From there, we'll then build it out into our finished footrest. I'll be able to show you one of those in our showroom in a little bit.
Well, that's really important in a footrest too, because a lot of people don't realize when you're fishing 130-pound class tackle and you've got a large fish on a bent butt rod, your rear end is off of the fighting chair seat in a bucket harness, and all the weight is right there on that footrest. So that lamination makes a difference.
Not a lot of people realize, but yeah, the seat has nothing to do with a fighting chair when it's being used.
I've stood up on a few footrests over the years. So this looks a lot like an armrest to a helm chair, but tell me about the interior of that. That seems a little different.
What we do, this particular piece, it's actually I hate to use the word, it sounds superficial, but it's a facade.
Okay.
What we do on our centerline helm chair, it's got the flip-up armrests on it, similar to an airplane seat. And what we do, we wanted to have the beautiful, rich wood finish on it. However, we still, because of the speeds and the ruggedness that these outboards are, the amount of stress that people are putting on these at 70, 80 miles an hour now, we need to make sure that they have something firm to hold on to.
Okay.
So what we actually do is we will fabricate the internal structure is actually a piece of stainless steel.
Okay.
So we build all of your structures out of the stainless steel. This piece will get fit in, it gets sandwiched on.
Okay.
So yes, that is
and then it's epoxied and clamped together?
Exactly.
And then it gets shaped a little bit more and it goes to upholstery?
Exactly.
I like it. I like it. So it's strong and it's beautiful.
Yes, those are 2 of the key things. These are just some more of the internal mechanisms that, external parts that need to be shaped to cover up some of that internal hardware there.
Okay. I mentioned a few minutes ago that we were making some more pieces over here for the base for that cocktail table, that wenge table that was so beautiful. So wenge being a difficult wood to obtain, probably extremely expensive, the smart play is to butt join?
Yes, that's what we're and the other reason we're doing that is we want to make sure that we continue with our graining, everything stays the same, so we're actually matching the pieces of wood and graining together as we're butt joining them as well.
Okay.
So those are, like I said earlier, our head carpenter only does this on weekends where he can concentrate on each and every piece.
Well, it also gives you amazing consistency in color and grain, and that's what provides a piece of art when you're done, not just a piece of furniture.
Absolutely.
And these are the sides of the base for that table.
Exactly.
That we saw.
That's what we're looking at here. Some of those sides, and the tough thing about wenge is splinters.
Yes.
This is
a
a tough
wood,
wood to
isn't it?
work with. Yeah. As far as splinters in your hands and all that, I don't even like touching it.
Well, you know what's interesting, and most people that haven't worked a lot with wood don't understand the different characteristics of different woods. They'll know oak is really hard and pine is really soft. What they don't realize is that mahogany is very dusty. Teak is very oily. Teak, when you're working with it, you've got to change saw blades all the time and sharpen them. You've got a very oily product. So there are different characteristics to different woods that really give them different flavors, also give them better applications in different environments, like we're using them in the most hostile environment in the world, the saltwater world.
And that's why teak is so popular on the exterior, because of the oils in there. It actually has its own preservatives with the teak oil in the wood itself.
It's durable and it's less likely to crack. So you freehand every cut that you guys make, right?
We used to. We used to.
All right.
Most everything is now cut on CNC routers or 5-axis. So we'll do a lot of things that way. However, as you can see, we still have many of our fixtures all around the shop.
Okay.
So we, a lot of times we'll get a customer that maybe wants a piece, but because of the shape and size of their cockpit or their area, we need to do a custom size. So we'll pull down some of our fixtures and maybe modify that. Or of course you get the one that, hey, I need this all of a sudden, and we can pull down and still hand cut a piece if we need to.
So with things that you produce pretty consistently, you'll subcontract with your materials, you'll do the rough shapes, and then you'll have an outsourced CNC machine shape them for you, and then bring them back in here for your final finishes and assemblies and things of that nature.
Correct.
But when you saw that certain shapes worked better over the years, you built fixtures that gave you the ability to replicate something over and over and over again without having to remeasure it.
Exactly.
Amazing. Okay. All right. What a beautiful shop, Joe. You guys have got, it's amazing. And when I say beautiful, maybe to the casual observer, you wouldn't say, oh yeah, that's a place that I want to take a date on a Friday night. But the reality of it is,
why do you say that?
Exactly. What you're able to produce here is what I think is beautiful. And I'm one that's always enjoyed working with my hands. I love getting behind the curtain and figuring out how things are made. So it's fascinating to me. I'll admit freely, this isn't my first visit to Bluewater. I started doing business with Tommy, the founder of the company. Oh gosh, well, Tommy and I got to know each other when he was in high school. We won't go any further than that. But he's done a great job in building a magnificent company. You're doing a phenomenal job in helping the public understand the quality of the products and helping them through the process of owning them. We've learned a bit about the production. Let's break and head over to Heather. I think she's going to teach you a little bit about finishing, if I'm not mistaken.
That's I look forward to that.
All right, we're going to head over to the finish shop. Sounds like a plan? So this is the finish side. So basically you've got the shop divided into two specific areas. One where we're bringing the raw materials in, we're producing the product as you and I were talking about earlier, and then we bring everything over to this side where we finish it.
Exactly, yes.
Okay.
What we're doing over here, we keep the carpentry over there and the finish over here, like you had said.
Well, I think I see Heather and Chris. Looks like Heather's learning a good bit about our build-up coats with epoxy. Heather, you starting to get a feel for what's going on over here?
Yes, I'm learning so much. This is a fascinating process.
It really is incredible. Joe's going to show you through a little bit more of it. I'm going to let these guys get back to work. I'm going to hand you off to Joe. Joe's going to show you through the rest of the finishing process, and I'll see you all back in the showroom where we'll talk about some of the different products.
Sounds good.
Thanks, Joe. I'm leaving
Thank you,
in
Paul.
Heather's capable hands.
Okay.
Thank
you, Chris. So, yeah, what we're doing here is we're hand applying our initial layers of epoxy on here. One of the key things that Brian is doing is his application is all done by hand. A lot of other places, what they'll do is they'll actually spray finishes on, which is a good way of doing it. However, it does not work the material into the grain. So part of using the hand brush is you're actually working the material into the grain. So that's one of his steps there. Once he gets done going with the grain, he'll brush against the grain. Again, you're trying to work it into all the nooks and crannies. Once that's done, he'll go back a third time and he'll run it with the grain for the third time. And that's going to then secure that first coat in there. Once that's done, we'll sand and rewind and repeat, meaning we'll go with the second layer, all done by hand, same thing, three different angles on it, with the grain, against the grain, with the grain. Let that cure. Let's do it a third time. And if that's not good enough, let's do it a fourth time.
Fourth time's the charm here, right?
That's exactly it. 4 times.
That's what I learned so far. That's incredible. So I guess the benefit to hand painting it is that it gets in those grooves. And I'm sure that makes it stronger too, right?
Exactly, yes. What you're doing is you're working the finish into all the nooks and crannies and grooves, things like that. So it's very beneficial to do it that way. And one layer at a time, what that's going to allow us to do is really inspect the process as we're going through it, inspect the part, and make sure that it's all getting in the right spots. Another way of doing a lot of these parts is what's called high build, which is a good way of doing it. We put the same application on all of our furniture, whether it's, I use the word furniture, whether it's a cocktail table going inside a salon or a fighting chair out to do battle with 1,000-pound marlin, it's all getting the same exact finish, which is that exterior high gloss, tough as nails finish on the exterior of it.
That's incredible. So we're seeing the beginning process here. How about you walk me through the rest of it?
Oh yes, yep. So as I said, it's a lot of rewind and repeat. It seems this piece, our battle station, seems to be turning up over and over again. Actually earlier, Paul and I were discussing the battle station, how it came through from raw teak to become a shape, and from the shape here we're actually applying our finish onto it. That's what's going there. This is in about, it looks to be its third stage of epoxy on this. Again, hand sanding in between each and every layer of it, and as they're sanding, they're inspecting for blemishes or issues, making sure that the finish is flowing out properly and smoothly, because if we're no good in the beginning, it's definitely going to be no good at the end. So we have to start and continue with the correct product the whole way through.
Absolutely. Because if you get any little piece of dust, it needs to be completely perfect, or else that'll come through each layer, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. So what they're doing here, as you can see, there are some spots in this. We're still a few steps away from our finished coats on it. But what will happen here is we will go through some of our final coats, sand in between each one of them, and then go for that final clear coat on it. By doing this slow process, what we're doing is building layer upon layer upon layer. So what it's going to, at the end of it, it's going to give us a deep, rich finish to the material. We were talking earlier about where you could reach in to touch the piece of wood as if it's got a bit of
3D.
Water on top. Yes.
Yeah.
So this particular one, again, is one of our customers had requested us to do a custom table for their yacht, and as you can see, we put a mother of pearl inlay into it. Those are all small sections of mother of pearl that we had to hand lay each piece into that particular section of the table. So that's what we've done there. Again, like our other tables Paul and I were talking about earlier, that's a solid centerpiece with a 1/4-inch teak, and then our solid rail on the exterior of it as well.
Wow.
So that's what we're doing there.
The craftsmanship is absolutely exquisite.
Thank you. Yes, the wonderful thing, the dedication of our employees, the work they do is really second to none. And what I enjoy about being here is that our employees really take vital part in it. Saturday, I was in here doing some paperwork. One of our employees walked in. I asked, "Are you here to work or what's going on?" He said, "No, I did some parts yesterday and I just wanted to see how they turn out."
Wow.
So that's the dedication. I say that we have, that really what we're doing is wood and finish that anybody can do, but it's the employees that set us apart from many other people, many other companies in this industry.
Absolutely, that's incredible. And I mean, it speaks for itself. The work shows this beautiful, beautiful product.
Thank you.
So once it gets the 4 layers, about how long does it take between each layer?
Well, usually, and it depending on weather and environment and things like that. So really, it's usually a day to a day and a half in between each layer. We got to sand it. So usually we calculate about 48 hours.
Okay.
So you're looking at right there at 4 layers, that's 8 days right there. So from start to finish, this whole process over here can be somewhere 3.5 to 4.5 weeks.
Oh, wow. Wow, very, very detailed process, but I guess it's true. You get what you pay for. Is that right?
That's exactly it. And many customers come in and say, "Hey, but I need my tables in a week." And I said, "Well, we can't rush this. That's one of the things you don't want to do is rush, because when you rush, that's where you have problems."
Absolutely. I've heard of something. If you can choose 3, quality, speed, and cost, pick 2. You can't get all 3.
What a good point. What a good point. Yep. Now behind us here, these are some tables that many customers that take delivery of their boats, especially a lot of the European boats. What happens is over there, the builders are challenged because of more rigid environmental laws and regulations over there, and I guess perhaps some of the different materials available, they're unable to get the high quality, high gloss finish that we're able to put on here in the States. So what a lot of customers will do is take delivery of their yachts with the tables raw, send them to us, and we'll actually go ahead and put the high gloss finish on them here.
Oh, wow.
And that's one of the things that is taking place here.
That's very interesting.
Yeah. So we'll do a little bit of each.
Great.
And here are some other parts that are getting ready to, actually these have been in the spray booth once, and they're getting ready to go back in.
Okay, so these are almost done?
Almost, yeah.
Almost.
Yeah. Don't rush this, though. Don't rush
yet.
this part.
Okay.
This is you rush it at the end, just like baking, right?
Right.
Now, all of our spray booth here is a sealed spray booth. It's pressurized, where to keep all the dust out. I've got a team in there spraying right now, so I don't want to go disturbing anything in there.
Sure.
But that's where that last automotive clear coat is put on it, and that's that last finish. These finishes all have UV inhibitors in them to keep the wood looking great over time, and that's all very important in the finish. That's one of the things that this finish is doing, is it's protecting the wood underneath from UV and weather. So that's part of what these finishes are doing.
Sure. I think we were talking earlier a little bit about the weather here in South Florida. We can wake up and have it be very cold, and then in the afternoon it's 100 degrees.
Exactly. Yeah. That can put a lot of stress. I know that's a strange word when it comes to a piece of wood, but that can put a lot of stress on the piece of wood, because yes, it could be 45 degrees at nighttime, and then by 11 o'clock in the morning the sun comes up and beats down on it, and it could be 95 degrees, and that surface could be well over 100 because of the UV. The UV is the thing that breaks everything down. So by putting these finishes on, what we're doing is we're sealing that from the UV rays, breaking down the teak on the underneath of it, any of the other woods. That's where you see a teak deck. If you don't maintain it and take care of it, it turns gray, because the UV will get in there and bleach it and eat away at it.
Okay, so it not only looks beautiful, but it protects it too.
Exactly.
I love it. Well, I'd love to see a finished product. How about we head to the showroom and meet Paul?
That sounds great.
All right, let's
head
go.
this way.
I'll follow you.
Great. So Heather, these are some of our parts and pieces waiting for our customers to come in and pick them up. Also, a few of these are some used equipment. You know, every now and then somebody will purchase a piece and say, "Hey, I have a rocket launcher that I don't need now that I have a chair," and they'll end up saying, "What are you going to do about it?" And we'll be able to trade some of that.
That's great. Paul, I learned so much out there. I'm so excited to see the finished product now that I saw the whole process.
It is an amazing process, isn't it?
It is.
So I'm perched in a place that feels kind of like home to me. Spent a few hours in one of these over the years. Joe, the primary focus of where Bluewater chairs started was fighting chairs. And while we've talked about a lot of different products that Bluewater has progressed into, we haven't gone to the meat and potatoes of Bluewater chairs, and that's the fighting chair. I'm going to step out of the way, and I'm going to let you explain to the crowd exactly what we're looking at here.
Absolutely. This chair here that you're sitting in, Paul, this is our Evolution Series chair. This, that word sums it up. It's our evolution, 33 years of building chairs.
Okay.
And there was trial and error back in the 80s and early 90s.
There sure
was. And
was.
Here we are now in 2021. And one of the things with this particular chair, it's got no what we call blind fasteners. You don't see any of the screw heads, any of the fasteners throughout the entire chair. It's a very clean chair, very shapely, very fitted. This chair would be one that would go in one of the newer boats of today.
There was a manufacturer that I was familiar with, and we used to have a big piece of threaded rod and a couple of acorn nuts holding on the side arms.
Yep. Oh, exactly. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So they've come a long way to custom upholsteries that match different cushions on the boat. We used to have to do this ourselves in the cockpit. If we were bored or we were on a trip traveling to St. Thomas, we'd do a little macrame on the arms to protect the rod butts.
There you go. Well, some of the things that we saw earlier is we've got our shaped footboard here that we talked about.
Yep. And the
So
strength of
that's
the
what we have
laminates.
going in there. Some of the other things, our corner brackets on this Evolution chair, we've eliminated those and gone with a through fitting on our rocket launcher bracket, where it used to be a ladder back chair with a ladder back on it. Now we've gone over to the rocket launcher.
The back came out, the chair went on.
Yep.
The rocket launcher went on, and you had a dual purpose setup.
Exactly.
So fighting chairs, amazing pieces of gear. We've got big rocket launchers these days. Back in the day, we used to have a 4-rod holder rocket launcher. This one's 5 right here in the center, but we'd have 4 rod holders and a small piece like this. Now we've got guys that are fishing multiple rods. They're fishing 10 rods in the spread, or they want to have 5 here in the rocket launcher and a couple over in the covering boards. So you've got access to everything.
I guess the crew's gotten a lot smarter. We could only handle 4 rods at the time.
Yeah, I couldn't even count that high back in those days. Here's a finished battle station.
Exactly. This particular battle station is finished up, actually getting ready to go to a customer. As you can see, we're able to put their name in it.
Okay.
This one's actually getting a table that literally clips to the top of it so that they can fight fish during the day, and then in the evening, load it up with cocktails.
Wine and cheese, and go for a ride up and down the ditch.
Exactly.
Without having to remove a chair or a battle station or a rocket launcher, store it someplace, pull the table out, put it in place, it pops right on top.
Correct.
That's awesome.
Correct.
That's awesome. And I think helm chairs have come a long way, Joe, as well. There was a time that this was the fanciest helm chair in the business, and in fact, I've got a helm chair like that on an office base in my home office, and it's one of my favorite places to sit.
Yeah.
I also know of a company that we won't let any names out, but there's a conference room here in town that there are 22 of those chairs around a hell of a conference table.
Yep. That's they have a nice operation going on there.
They do. So it's not limited to just using the boat. Use your imagination and think of other places that you could put them as well.
We just put 4 up on Hillsborough Mile as bar stools.
There you go.
So what better place to have your memories and create new memories?
Well, you know what? They're super comfortable too. But with the evolution of the boats, we were talking a little while ago about the cockpits on these outboards are bigger than the cockpits on the battle wagons that we used to fish offshore on. Tell me about these helm chairs here, Joe.
Yes, these are what we call our centerline helm chair. And some of the things that we've done here for the new these outboards now that are getting more and more developed compared to when we used to run a 17 Mako around and think that was the latest and greatest.
We had a Rotocast bucket chair.
We're dating ourselves. One of the things, this particular chair here, this is our bolstered, what we call our centerline chair. This one we have designed to sit on a pedestal. This one here is designed to sit on the molded base. A few of the things that we've done here, as you can see, we've got the flip-up bolster seating on it. So it makes it comfortable for sitting, and then if you want to stand up and run, it gives you wonderful back support. Also, earlier we talked about those arms out there. This
Right.
is the finished arm here, and as we talked about, it still has all the stainless steel internal mechanisms in it, where it's all stainless steel and Delrin. The exterior of it is our finished teak wood that we had seen earlier, with our high gloss finish put on it, and then our upholstery gets set right on top of it. So by the time you're said and done, it's a completely finished chair. These are done in, that's done in the Noose umbrella material. This is done in ultra leather. One of the other interesting things we do, Paul, is our backrests are actually magnetic backrests.
Where are my snaps?
That's exactly it. There's no hardware. You just get it close and let it go.
How cool is that? Now, that's magic. How do you do that?
Well, it takes a lot of thought. We actually have to build the magnets into the part.
So you embed them in the wood.
Correct.
Very
And
cool.
and one of the things we have to take in mind is what we used to call the battle wagon doing 22 knots out to the fishing ground. These are going on a boat that could be doing 70 or 80 miles an hour.
It's truly amazing.
So we need to make sure that those backrests are going to stay on.
Because a snapped-on backrest would be something you'd be looking for on the way home.
Hopefully it would float.
Hopefully it would. Hopefully it would. Joe, it's amazing the progress, the evolution, if you will, that we've made in chairs, in tables, in helm chairs. But basically what's been fascinating to me is how we're able to take a piece of raw teak wood and produce products of this elegance and this technical superiority. I mean, to look at them, it looks like an old traditional high gloss product, but when you start to peel back the layers, there's a lot of technology in these.
Absolutely, yeah. There's between the water jetted machine parts inside and mechanisms, yes.
We really appreciate you taking the time with us here. It's been a fascinating tour. Thanks again so much. We're going to go to a break and we'll be back in a little bit.
Thank you.
Florida Nautical Surveyors is your complete solution to all your vessel surveying needs. Our team of seasoned experts, led by Malcolm Elliott, are the go-to solution for pre-purchase, insurance, or valuation surveys. Whether your vessel is steel, aluminum, fiberglass, wood, or even ferro cement, our surveyors have the knowledge and training to meet all of your surveying needs. Call Florida Nautical Surveyors today at 954-801-2140. Or for more information, go to floриданauticalsurveyors.com.
Our industry has learned that to control your data is to control your destiny. Yachtbroker.org is the key to that control. As a member of any professional yachting association, when you input your data, you are the owner of that information. At Yachtbroker.org, you can keep track of all data reports related to your company by viewing your customized live management dashboard. Create an eye-catching photo gallery with our new thumbnail editor. Follow vessels of your liking to get status notifications in current time. Identify special commission conditions immediately, and even report a vessel to our team and the listing broker. Need to have access to your fleet on the go? Yachtbroker.org is completely mobile optimized, so you can view and edit your listings from anywhere in the world. For more information on how you can get started using Yachtbroker.org, give us a call at 954-522-9270 or email me at casey@iyba.org.
Marine Professionals MPI has been in business since 1997. With over 20 years of experience, we at MPI provide you the very best in marine electronics, audio, video, and networking. We specialize in boats from 40 to 120 feet. If you need navigation, including Garmin, Raymarine, or any other top brands, MPI is your go-to source. If you need audio video equipment, MPI can provide you with HD TV and the very best sound with a Sonos hi-fi sound system. MPI is the only marine gold Sonos dealer in the country. Nowadays, everybody wants high-speed internet. MPI can offer you different solutions that fit your needs. Whether it's to pick up the marina Wi-Fi, cellular, or satellite, MPI has you covered. We'll make sure you can binge watch your favorite Netflix episodes anywhere, anytime you want. You can check us out online at marineprofessionals.com or call us today. I'm Mark Carreri, and I approve this message.
At Murray Ventilation Products, we bring over 20 years of experience providing ventilation and air filtration solutions. MVP is your most valuable player in demisters, intake and exhaust fans, and computer-controlled safety systems. We are well equipped to provide end-to-end solutions for OEMs and refit projects the world over. Call Murray Ventilation Products today at 772-631-2229.
Maritime arbitration has been around for hundreds of years. Now we have a new forum to solve our disputes. The IYVA has created the International Yacht Arbitration Council to solve our disagreements. We have experienced maritime attorneys and yacht brokers to serve on our panels, people who know the law, who know boats, and who know the yacht business. IYAC arbitration can handle yacht claims, contract, purchase, and commission disputes privately, quickly, and less costly than going to court. Sometimes disputes happen, and when they do, the IYAC is here to help you solve them.
Lauderdale Marine Center, a yard above.
All right, folks, that's a wrap for day 5 of Yacht Engineering Week 2021. We've had the opportunity to learn an awful lot this week. Thanks so much to our sponsors. Thanks to everybody who was able to contribute the great information that we learned this week.
Yes, we learned so much this week, Paul. Thank you again for having me, and thank you to our viewers for joining us for this incredibly informative week. I'm so grateful to have had the opportunity to ride along with you, Paul, and learn more about the yacht industry.
We've really been glad to have you here, Heather. It's great to have you with us. We couldn't do this stuff without you. You add an air of professionalism that I certainly couldn't make happen. Thanks again to our sponsors. We're going to wrap this up. If you've missed any of our segments, you're welcome to check them out on iyba.org under the events tab. Everything is pre-recorded, so you have the ability to view them again there. We'll see you next year for Yacht Engineering Week 2022. Bye-bye, everybody.
Yacht Engineering Week 2021 has been made possible by Pantropic Power, the only authorized Caterpillar Power Systems dealer in South Florida. Florida Nautical Surveyors, your complete solution to all of your vessel surveying needs. And Robert Allen Law, exclusively dealing with the business of yachting. We would also like to thank Quantum Stabilizers, AME Solutions, DeAngelo Exhaust, MPI Marine Professionals Incorporated, Concord Marine Electronics, Lauderdale Marine Center, Marine Data, Isotropic, Dockmate, and Murray Ventilation Products. Thank you for joining us this year. We'll see you in 2022.